What is going on, guys? It is me, Nevin Xavier, here with another video. Today we are talking Fujifilm XT3. And where does Fujifilm XT3 stand in 2020 end? As you all know, Fujifilm released a successor to the XT3, the XT4, which I own and use. I love that camera. Recently did a review on XT4. I will link the video over here or here, so you can check that out if you are interested in looking at XT4. But today we are talking XT3. Ever since I bought this camera, I've been very happy with the XT3, but it is not all rainbows and sunshine in the Fuji world. But I will get back to that bit later on in this video. So back in 2018 when it came out, it was one of the very few cameras that did 4K 60 at this price point. I think the only other camera that did 4K 60 was the Panasonic GH5. And there was 1DX Mark II, but that was definitely 3 times the price of this, maybe even more than that. So while I was looking to switch to a camera that does 4K 60 and a Full HD 120, this was one of the very few options, and that is exactly why I jumped into the Fuji ecosystem. So after using the camera for around a couple of months, with the 23 1.4 and the 56 1.2 lens, I immediately fell in love with the camera. By that time, I already shot 2-3 weddings, and I even did a couple of travels, and I was really happy with what I was getting. At that point, I sold all my Canon gear and I bought another body with a few other lenses, mostly for travel purposes. So ever since, I've been shooting Fujifilm exclusively for both photo and video, for both work and personal purposes. So I have really abused this camera in the past 2 years. I've took this camera to around 10 to 12 countries. I even shot around 30 to 40 weddings over the course of 2 years. And I have to say, I really love this camera, but there are some things I really wish was better. But by the release of XT4, most of the problems being solved, but it's still not perfect yet, but much better than XT3. But I still love the XT3. There is nothing wrong with it. So fast forward 2020, I just want to talk to you guys about who is this camera for, especially when you look at the price point. These days you can pick one of these up for $899 in the UK. You can even find one for around $720 on eBay. That is the cheapest I've found. I'm sure you can find one in the second-hand market for, I don't know, maybe 600, 650 pound. That is crazy value for a camera that is 4K 60, Full HD 120, beautiful colors straight out of the camera, 26 megapixels, fast shooting, eye autofocus, weather sealing. That is a professional body. For that kind of price, that is unknown. Anyway, before we get too much into it, I want to show you some of the footages I shot with it and some photos over the course of 2 years, so you can see for yourself what this camera can do. Enjoy.
Vamos, Capi. Aum, which is the cassave.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you for sticking around. If you like the video, please do consider clicking that like button. That is the easiest way to support the channel. And if you are not a subscriber yet, please do consider subscribing and press that bell notification for future videos. All right, let's get back to the X-T3 now. As you can see, X-T3 produces some high quality, professional looking photos and videos. It can do any kind of job, whatever you throw at it, let it be weddings, travel, food, photography, whatever it is, it does the job. So let's talk about what I like about this camera, what I don't like about this camera. Let's start with the negatives. Over the course of 2 years, I have had problems using this camera. For example, if I'm shooting a video, and I've been shooting the video, when I post the video, then after a few seconds, when I click the video, when I start recording again, it automatically switched to stills mode. That is very frustrating because the only way around it is to put it back on a still mode, then push it back to the video mode. That is very annoying, especially when it comes to a professional job and you are relying on the camera. Sometimes there is a good chance you're going to miss the shot. So you have to be very careful, especially if it's the first time you are coming into that issue. You don't know what to do. That is trouble. So that's something I don't know. It kept happening, like I would say on every occasion. But since I know a work around it, I'm okay. I just switched to the stills mode and back to the video mode, and it works fine. So that's one downside of this camera. There might be a way around it. I'm not sure what's causing it. I spoke to some other people. Some people have it, some people don't. So I'm not really sure. It happened on both my X-T3 actually. So I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. That's something to really look into. The battery life is quite poor, especially when you shoot video. And especially if you're shooting 4K 60, it won't last long, which makes sense because it's such a small battery. As you can see, it is one of these small batteries. So, you know, that is to be expected. And another thing, the Fujifilm ecosystem, all the fast primes, like for example the 23 1.4, 56 1.2, 35 1.4, all these lenses are very old. So when it comes to video autofocus, it hunts. So that's something I didn't know when I bought the camera. When I switched to Fuji, I thought, okay, fine, if I get the 23 1.4 lens, I'll get a good lens that autofocus perfectly for video, but that is not the case. For stills, it is fine. Autofocus is not an issue, but when it comes to video, so apparently these lenses were not made for video. That is why Fuji offers f2 primes, which are really quick with video, which I haven't really tried one yet. I haven't bought the f2 primes because for me, since it is an APS-C camera, I think having 1.4 primes is the way to go than f2 primes. So that's something to look into. It is not that bad, but there are some instances it hunts, especially the 23 1.4. 56 1.2 is you can't even use it for video. It is just such a really bad lens for video. When it comes to autofocus, it keeps hunting. So that is something to keep in mind. But now there are these other lenses like the Workarounds 23 1.4, 35 1.4 lens. Apparently the autofocus is better on those. I haven't tested those yet, so I don't know. I don't know about that. So that is something to keep in mind if you are thinking of switching, and if you want fast autofocus, especially continuous autofocus for video with the 1.4 primes. That is not going to happen unless you look into other options like the Workarounds 1.4. So these days I use the Sigma 18-35 with the Fringer Pro 2 adapter lens. For that combo, I feel like the autofocus is much better. I would say it's as good as a native lens. So that's something That is one of my favorite combo ever, especially for video purposes. And to be honest, these are my only problems with the camera. I am really happy with the quality of the photos and videos. I did break my screen on my XT3 camera. That's because I was shooting in a beach and the waves came and it just got soaked and the screen is not working anymore. I'm okay with it. I mean, I wished it didn't happen, but the viewfinder is fine, so I'm okay to work with. Now, talking about the positives, as you can see, the quality of the footage that is just awesome. The value, that is another plus point, especially if you buy in 2020, the value is even better. When I bought it for 1,100 or 1,200 British pounds. Now, as I said, you can pick one of these for 700 pounds, which is great value. Like, you can get a better quality camera for that kind of price. So we are now in 2020 end, and there have been a lot of new camera releases over the past couple of years from other manufacturers like the Canon R5, R6, Sony a7S III, Nikon Z6 Mark II, Z7 Mark II, and all that. And definitely those cameras are really good, high quality stuff. But I still think Fuji, when it comes to value, it is one of the best value cameras in the market. So why would anyone consider XT3 in 2020? And from my experience, I'm going to break it down into 3 parts. So if you are a still shooter, if you are like a primarily still shooter and you want to shoot weddings, travel, whatever, just like normal stuff, daily stuff, I will definitely recommend the XT3 over the XT4, because I think there are a few things that XT4 does better than XT3, which is the in-body image stabilization and the battery, the bigger battery of the XT4. But as a still shooter, this is not something that makes a big difference. With the extra money, you can buy a couple of lenses that will help you to take better pictures anyway. And it is the same sensor, same megapixel, the same image quality. Even with the video, it is almost as same quality, except for few. I think now for XT4 you can shoot 4K 60 in 10-bit, which is not something you can do in XT3. But I really don't think a lot of people use 10-bit, especially if you are somebody starting off. There is no need to shoot 10-bit, especially when it comes to XT3. The colors coming out of it, even if it's 8-bit codec, it is still beautiful. I shoot 8-bit. I really never found any problem with the codec. But if you are primarily shooting video and you are consider buying XT3 and XT4, then I will definitely suggest XT4, mainly for the IBIS and the bigger battery. The IBIS, not everyone like it, but me, myself personally, I am someone who like to handhold and take videos. So for me, having an IBIS is such a lifesaver. But if you are somebody who mostly use gimbals, then XT3 will do the job. But the only problem with that will be the battery is not that great. Unless you buy a battery grip, then you can use a couple of batteries, then it makes sense. But I will still suggest XT4 for video. If you are, as I said, if you are like a primarily video shooter, then XT4 definitely makes sense. So that is all from me, guys. I hope you guys find this review helpful. If you do have any questions, please do leave in the comments. You can connect with me on Instagram. I will leave my Instagram here. Thank you again, and I will see you for the next one. Thank you.